Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Tanja. For those of you who don't know, I offer freelance graphic design services primarily to small business owners and those who are looking to start a business from the ground up. What I'm going to be offering to you today on this video is 5 tips or 5 things to consider before you request a price quote for your logo. I'm actually racing against time, so let's get right to it. If you see me looking over this way, it's just because I'm referencing my notes. If you've already been kind of doing some research and trying to get out there and see what a logo costs, you probably haven't found a definitive answer. Like any other video or any other article that you may have read, this video is not going to give you a definitive answer either. However, this video is going to explain to you why you haven't found a definitive answer, and it's also going to help you think about the things that you should be considering before you request a price quote for your logo. So tip number 1 is understand what you're purchasing. There is a difference between purchasing a service and purchasing a product. Now, when you purchase a product, whether or not it's a hat or it's a chair or it's a computer, a book, a mug, these are things that have been manufactured or produced in the same way each time, allowing the manufacturer of those items to establish one set price to charge anyone purchasing that particular product. On the other hand, when you are purchasing a service, the price of what you're purchasing is contingent upon your unique set of needs. So an example of purchasing a service would be hiring a caterer. If you have an event and you want to hire a caterer for your event, the caterer will more than likely ask you how many guests you'll be feeding. They'll ask you what type of cuisine that you want to serve to your guests. They'll ask you whether or not it's I guess a table set situation or buffet style. You're going to get a series of questions that you need to know the answer to. Another example of purchasing a service would be hiring an event planner or taking your car to an auto mechanic. Each individual who takes their car to an auto mechanic, the needs of those individuals they vary. So as a result, the prices are going to vary. So that's tip number 1, is understand what you're purchasing. You're actually purchasing the service of a graphic designer. Although you'll leave with a final product, which is your logo, you're actually purchasing a service. Tip number 2, make sure you're clear on your vision for your company. This is very important, and I think it should go without saying for those of you who are serious about establishing a serious business. Make sure that you get clear on your vision for your company. The reason being is because as a graphic designer, we depend on you to communicate your vision. I get this so often. I don't know, you're the professional, or I don't know, you're the graphic designer. We're not asking you to create any graphics. What we're asking you is to communicate to us the type of vision that you have for your company. Get clear on who is your demographic, who is your target audience that you're trying to speak to, so that we can begin to communicate effectively with that target audience. Also go a step further and research whether or not the name of your company has already been taken or used or copywritten. Those things would be your homework before you reach out to a graphic design professional and ask them for a price quote. Tip number 3 would be create a mood board. Now, this is kind of a follow-up to tip number 2. When you create a mood board is really just a combination of thoughts and ideas that you find inspiring for your particular brand. If you're traveling throughout your town and you find, let's say for instance, you're starting a restaurant and you see some menus that another restaurant is using, or you see different graphics that are inspiring to you, go on and take, a picture of it or capture it. Or if you're shopping online, or researching online, and just kind of do a Google search of different things that are related to your field. And then what you do from there is just kind of take some screenshots, take some color palettes and some different things like that, compile it all into a Word document or something, and send it over to your graphic designer. That helps us get a gauge of your vision for your company. Again, especially if you're not good with putting words to what you actually visualize. So if you grab some color palettes and some text and some other logos that may be aspiring to you, that would be helpful. It will also help you think about, you'd be surprised at once you start moving, getting into motion as to taking your brand for your business seriously, you'd be surprised of the things that you would start thinking about. So that's tip number 3, which is create a mood board. Now, tip number 3 is just a suggestion. That is definitely not necessary. If you don't want to take the time to create a mood board and you feel like you can verbally explain or communicate to your graphic designer what you visualize for your company, then you can always skip over tip number 3. Let's move on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is consider how valuable a logo is to your company. Now, what I mean by that is think about what you need this logo to do for your company. Sometimes there's a difference between creating a logo for a company and creating a brand mark for a particular event. I'll give you an example. Some time ago, I created a brand mark for an event that was called Fire and Ice. This event was just a one-time event. After that, they were no longer going to be using the brand mark. And so with that said, they did not want to blow their budget on a brand mark. Now, the flip side is if you are building or creating a logo for a business that you are really taking seriously, that you expect to stand the test of time between 10 to 15, 20 years before you start rebranding, then you definitely want to invest into your logo up front. This is another tip of advice that I actually didn't put on this 5 tips, which is the logo for your company is what I would consider the foundation of the building that you'll build upon. So if you don't have a solid logo before you move forward with creating other branding materials, whether or not it's a business card or a website or flyers, what's going to happen is when you decide to change your logo or you've changed your mind about your logo, all of those things that you have placed your logo on now need to be updated. That blows your budget, that wastes your time, and it's really just not effective or efficient. This is the reason why I felt it necessary to create this video to kind of help you understand the importance of a solid logo. So I had to come back for tip number 5. Tip number 5 is consider who will be creating your logo. There are many different options and many different resources for producing your logo. You've probably noticed different, very, inexpensive options like Fiverr online that offer a logo for $5. These types of resources kind of treat your logo as a product. That's the reason why they're able to establish one set price to charge anyone purchasing a logo for their company. The reason being is because the logos are kind of like placed on a conveyor belt and just kind of passed out, and it's not anything that is custom. The process is very impersonal. Also, it doesn't take into consideration the full lifespan of your brand. So for example, if you create a logo and let's say 6 months down the road you run into an issue with the files that you've gotten from Fiverr, you can't go back, at least not to the best of my understanding, you can't go back to the specific designer who has created your logo and ask for edits to your logo. I believe that there is some limits to the types of files that they give to you. It probably is a JPEG file and maybe a PNG or a PDF or something like that. With that said, when you go to produce something like maybe a silk screen shirt, this shirt is an example of a silk screen process where you need vector-based art. This is probably all language that you don't comprehend. However, that's the importance of actually working with a graphic designer firsthand, so that we can kind of explain to you the different file formats that you'll need for your brand moving forward. So again, we've got resources like Fiverr. Let's see, what's some other resources for who will be creating your logo. You have design and marketing firms or agency. With a design or marketing firm, you've got a combination or a team of professionals who usually have a a range of 5 to 20 years of experience. They're all working on your project at one time or interchangeably. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, their salary is ranging from $60,000 to $90,000, $100,000 a year. A marketing or design agency has overhead costs, they have office costs, and so on and so forth. And so you're going to need a larger budget when you go to a graphic design agency or a marketing firm. But at the same time, you can get quality. It's not guaranteed that you'll get quality work. Another resource would be a freelance graphic designer, which is someone like myself, or there's many different types of freelance graphic designers. Let me clear that up first. You have freelance graphic designers who maybe they have left a ad agency or in-house company where they were a graphic designer, and they have 5 to 10 years of professional experience along with a solid education or background in graphic design, but they're now offering graphic design on a freelance basis, kind of like myself. What you're going to get is you're going to get the experience without the overhead costs and without having to pay for a team. You'll have an individual. I guess the downside of that is that you're working with one individual, so you need to have I guess the schedule, your time frame for getting your logo produced for you. Let's see what other types of freelancers we have. We have those who are self-taught, who maybe they are very talented artistically, but they may not understand the science behind design, how to captivate the attention of your target audience. Because the goal of your logo is to communicate to your potential customers or clients the services that you provide. A very pretty logo that is only inspiring to people but doesn't provoke them to do business with you is not effective. You want creativity combined with the science. And so for those who are self-taught, you may run the risk of getting a logo that maybe hasn't been designed in a way to consider your brand. It hasn't been designed in a way to consider issues that you would have as far as production, what things to stay away from as far as like gradients and different things like that could become an issue for you depending on what you're printing or what you're producing. But the flip side of working with someone who is self-taught or who is still in school is that you can sometimes save your budget, especially if those individuals have gone the extra mile to actually educate themselves about the science of design. You can really kind of save your budget there by finding someone who understands design as well as has the talent. What other freelancers do we have? I think that's it. The do-it-yourselfers and like I said, the design students, those who are in school. You may find someone who's in school for design who is looking to build their portfolio, and they're willing to take on your project at a cheaper rate just to have things in their portfolio to show experience as a designer. So you may be able to reach out to those who are still in school for graphic design for a logo. That was a lot, and I hope you found something helpful out of that. For those of you who are kind of shopping around and trying to figure out what it is that you need to budget for a logo. Again, as you notice, there's a lot of different moving pieces. For example, there's a lot of different types of logos. You have text-based logos. You have logos that incorporate some type of graphic. And with that said, each logo is not produced the same way, which means that the prices of those logos may vary. If you found this helpful, please do share it with someone else that you think would benefit from this. Also, let me know if there's any other videos like this that you think would help you. Let me know, and I'm open to suggestions of offering you different resources that will help you make sound decisions as you invest in your brand moving forward. I don't think I have anything else to share with you for today, and so till next time. Oh, real quick, for those of you who are looking to produce a logo, if you are interested in a specific price, definitely reach out to me. You can go to my website and fill out the contact information. That will probably be the easiest way to contact me. We can schedule a time to talk. From there, what I do is I put together a project proposal. It highlights your need. It also highlights my approach and the solution that I've come up with. It talks about the project schedule and the budget, which I know that's the main thing that you're considering. You'll get all of that in the project proposal, and if everything is okay, then we're ready to rock and roll and build your brand.